All right, legendary family. Today we have the King Titan going up against Dalamadur, the King of all Titans, versus the Serpent Emperor King or the Serpent King Dragon. Whichever one you guys want to call it. So, without further ado, let's start off with Dalamadur. And I've actually scaled him on this channel plenty of times. Go ahead and probably just type in Legendary Grimlock and then type in Dalamadur after. You will see how many W's this man actually takes on this channel. And today may not be any different. Dalmadur's lore himself, and with the lore being confirmed as well, canon feats for the monsters, Dalamadur himself is actually able to create a multitude of stars. And this is actually around the 4,000 margin because that's how many our science pretty much calculates as a river of stars, around 4,000. So Dalamadur being able to make these kind of stars and making blue stars, which are hotter than, I believe, our sun as well, or even considered to be the hottest stars imaginable, this means that Dalamadur would actually be into the large and if not the multi-solar system department. This is important because, again, Dalamadur actually utilizes this on the Hunter. Dear Lord, our Hunter is very built differently, isn't it? But here's the thing, right? Did you know Dalamadur actually gets bigger? Yeah, you see, Shah Dalamadur, while it is a bigger and stronger version or stronger time period of a Dalamadur's life cycle, it's not the biggest. Yeah. So in Monster Hunter World, in the guidebook, mind you, Dalamadur actually gets bigger. Yeah, to the point where he makes up a good portion of an underground ecosystem within Monster Hunter World. Yeah, so the entire Rotten Vale, which is likely more expanded than a lot of people give it credit for, is actually a collection of multiple Dalmadors after they had their energy Gawk Gawk 9000 by Xenojiva. Yeah, so Dalamadur was somebody else's snack, unfortunately. And keep in mind, these Dalmadors were much bigger than the old world ones, meaning they get much bigger as well, which again I find to be terrifying to think about. Imagine the fact that these guys get much bigger than something that was supposed to be the final stage of their life cycle. Basically, these guys were the Sues and Scotties or Goliaths of their species, if you will. And yet they were common. But yeah, Dalamadur would definitely get the solar system level. Oh, and has his fire breath and meteor shower as well. And paralysis, spit, and I guess just saliva. So with that being said, let's move on to the King Titan, who would actually get into the large star levels. Yeah, I know, a bit of an update. But this is because every art creature would scale above these weapons. It's considering the fact that, you kind of get them as a reward for beating basic arc bosses like the Dragon, Dinopithecus King, and so on and so forth. Even Nuntak, which is a much stronger boss as well. So yeah, the arc bosses do have their own ranking system and all that, but keep in mind the fact that none of these creatures could kill the Titans, or none of these weapons that actually utilize black hole technology could kill the Titans. And the King Titan would also scale above the likes of Dreadnoughtus, who is capable of injuring the second strongest Titan, such as the Ice Titan. And keep in mind as well that the Ice Titan, or the Lord of Winter, is again second only to the King Titan, and the King Titan pretty much requires you to either tame an assortment of creatures, and you can even tame all three, if not four, if you want to count the Sulfur Titan, all four Titans as a army. So they have to be included as well. I wonder what actually happens to the Titans in the canonical story. Do they just die after beating the King Titan, or do they just go on to live as humanity's protectors? Because that would actually be pretty interesting, believe it or not. So yeah, I can kind of see it and stuff like that, with him being able to, I guess you could say deal with that kind of stuff. Now, in terms of his actual speed, he actually be in the hypersonic margins. because the King Titan really doesn't react to a whole lot of, creatures and stuff like that. There aren't too many creatures in the Ark mythos that actually are capable of moving around light speed. The only ones I could definitely say are likely Astro Cetus and Astro Delphus, because they casually move in space, and the Void Worm as well. But keep in mind, King Titan's hacks and abilities include his Element Breath, his Elemental Shockwave, which he uses with his fist, and then he's also capable of summoning meteors, which are, well, around this size. Yeah, I know, it's absolutely insane now, isn't it? And keep in mind, the King Titan also has a high level of resistance. Considering I did the same thing to Art Giga, it's only fair. He's immune to electrical and, well, electricity, burning, freezing, and even burning. This includes higher tier burns, or higher tier creatures that can use burning, like the Pyromanes and even the Fire Wyverns. He would also be able to beat the Dragon, who likely should have the strongest burn out of the group here. He would also be immune to life draining effects such as the Elder Claw and the Blood Wyvern Queen, or the Blood Crystal Wyvern Queen, whichever one you want to call it. Then he would also be immune to astro damage, such as the likes of the Dreadmare. Yeah, everything's pretty it's pretty up and up when it comes to the Dreadmare and stuff like that. And again, with King Titan's, abilities and stuff like that, I think it's safe to say you could easily get him to star level with hypersonic speeds. So, actually, I think that yeah, that wraps it up here. So let's just get into this match and get it over with. So to start off, the size. I don't really know who's taller than who, or who's bigger than who, because again, Dalamadur's realm, or the world of Monster Hunter, does not equal ours. I think that has to be stated. It's a much durable area, or a much durable, fictional area or fictional planet. And the fact is, Dalamadur nesting in mountains and being able to kind of just bust through them like a xenomorph busts out their chest, or how you're about to bust pretty much bust out these mountains, is pretty simple. But again, these mountains are much bigger than ours, much bigger than our larger mountains. Then you have the same thing with volcanoes, and even these monsters are able to literally sit in some volcanoes and actually withstand them quite casually. Then you have King Titan. Again, biggest creature in the game. Like, I don't even think there's a modded creature that rivals him. Maybe Godzilla Earth, or the Godzilla Earth mod, but I'm not sure. But we know he's definitely the biggest creature on Ark and stuff like that. So, yeah, he has that. Now, when it comes down to the likes of the battle itself, I don't care what you guys say. The area's getting, like, completely obliterated. Like, it's going to be nothing but flat earth and meteors afterwards. So even if Dalamadur fights in the King Titan's turf, or if the King Titan fights in Dalamadur's turf, it's really not going to matter. Everything's getting leveled on site. Yeah, and it's going to be covered with nothing but element and blue fire after that. But let's get into it. Who do I think wins more often than not? And I definitely think it's going to be Dalamadur. Dalamadur is not only in a much higher tier than the King Titan, but he's also just substantially, more durable and stronger than the King Titan. I would also say faster as well. And again, this is me ignoring game mechanics like how they move in game. Truth to be told, this means that the creatures are moving far faster than what we, originally see. Basically, the hunter would be moving as a blur in order to dodge these attacks. So yeah, imagine a big snake like this just slithering at you at a relativistic speed and then just snapping you up. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? And I think even King Titan will be like, oh, god dang, what the heck is going on here? But the thing about it is, Dalamadur does take the edge, even if we, like, lowball them to the lowest, right? Which is around the multi-continental to planetary, which actually puts them at a much more even level. Matter of fact, let's talk about that for the rest of this video. If we put them at a much more equal level, Dalamadur does have the edge when it comes to actually close quarters versatility. King Titan can spam meteors, but again, so can Dalamadur in a natural sense. King Titan has his element breath. Dalamadur has his star fire, or his star fire breath, if you will. So yeah, he has all of this assortment of equipment and stuff. So he's got all that. Like, it's absolutely nothing. But then you also have one little thing. It's the element punch, or the what do we call it? Dalamadur's, or what do we call it? Dalamadur's paralysis spit, or his paralysis saliva, versus King Titan's quantum punch. And I think Dalamadur can get his off faster and probably a lot more. Meaning that King Titan would not only be paralyzed, but easy to follow up and gain more attacks on. And keep in mind, I think Dalamadur can coil around King Titan enough to restrain him, at least for a little bit, until he starts doing enough damage to where he can wear down King Titan via blood loss or the paralysis in his veins, opening him up for more, fire-based attacks. So at the end of the day, I got Dalamadur winning mid to high difficulty in terms of an equal sense, but in terms of their higher ends, Dalamadur would basically two-shot the King Titan and be done with it. So either way, Dalamadur does win it here. Peace.